So I don't think Jermaine Johnson was ever an option because then you have 2 Tank Lawrences coming off the edges, and that's not really what you want. So
the more tanks, the better, apparently. That's where my tax money goes.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yeah. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is
be the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 114 of Birds vs. Boys. Kmess here. I am still in the COVID cave. As you can tell, Aidan is on cloud 9, even though he got ripped down off cloud 9 with the Embiid issue, but I think then he was brought back up to cloud 10, so he's up and down on clouds right now. We are here to recap the NFL draft. Obviously, this is our draft recap show. Excited about it. I think we both have reasons to be excited.
You know, in college, what the best part was?
That I graduated 13 years ago.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. To me, it wasn't the party that was the best part. It was when you woke up the next morning and rehashed the night's events with all of your college best friends. Mm-hmm. That's what this is, but with the NFL draft. This is rehashing all of the great parts of the night that was with your friends. Mm-hmm. That's what the draft recap show is.
Now, I want to start with you on a note that you're not going to expect here. Did you see the Ryan Tannehill quote today?
I did. He was like, "It's not my job to mentor Malik Willis.
We're competing against each other."
Did he say that?
He said, "We're competing against each other. We're competing against each other. I don't think it's my job to mentor him."
Well, here's the problem for both of them. We have AJ Brown now.
Exactly why I started there.
Oh, what a night. What a time to be alive.
It's a heck of a trade. I just can't wait until his best friend is forced out of town after a year, and then you have an angry wide receiver who wants out of the city after 2 years. Because
I'm not going to lie. I did think about that. I did think about that in the sense that they were like, oh, now we get to play together, and Jalen pushed for this and all this stuff. I'm like, I want CJ Stroud as my quarterback next year. Like, great story. Do not care.
Until he's fucking catching, 13 touchdowns for 1,200 yards from somebody else. I don't think he'll be so upset.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. His job no longer is to watch Derrick Henry get the ball 22 times a game and just hand off. So I don't know. It's better here than it was.
Did you see my tweet today with the 1-11 that the Eagles tweeted?
No. What was it?
The Eagles tweeted like 1x11, and it was a picture of Jalen and AJ like hugging. So number 1 and number 11. And I said it looks like AJ Brown's stat line for having Jalen Hurts as his quarterback.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a good one. Oh, my coworker today, he got hit with a guy requested insurance from us. He sought us out.
Mm-hmm.
So my coworker texted him about a sale. He's like, I can help you out with insurance. And the guy hit him with one of these nuts jokes. It was so funny. And the whole office has access to the text network.
Yep.
Because it's like all the customers in one. So we all saw just the these nuts joke. It's like, that's funny. It's funny. The AJ Brown thing 1 for 11. That's funny.
When it's funny, it's funny.
It's funny. Yeah.
All right. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to go round by round for our teams?
Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's break down our drafts and just get into it. Let's get into the big names and then the draft overall. I mean, obviously, we can get the AJ Brown thing out of the way early. That technically counts as a draft pick. He's 24. That's awesome. That is exactly what we needed. We talked all offseason about pairing somebody with Devontae Smith, and they did. We talked about Quez moving back into that wide receiver 3 role. They made it happen. You could not have asked for a better situation than that. So I know he's not a draft pick, but if you factor him into the draft picks, You could not have had a better draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a draft pick. They traded a draft pick for him. I count that as a draft pick.
And it's just everything they did, the flexibility that they created with them for themselves by stockpiling picks, trading last year with the Dolphins, trading again this year with the Saints after they had 3 first-round picks, moved to 2. I had all the power, then I didn't have the power. You still have 2 next year, and you still ended up with A.J. Brown. Pick flexibility. This isn't an Eagles thing. Like, this is just like a draft. If you were a GM, pick flexibility. As many picks as possible, and you will be fine.
Keep throwing darts.
Yeah. Like that is you can think that you can watch a prospect, watch every highlight of his entire career from his freshman year of high school to his senior year of college and think there is no way this kid fails. And he could still fail. Drafts are crapshoots. That's why you need as many picks as possible to put the odds in your favor.
Well, and that in this draft, GMs can say what they want about different draft class and stuff, but I think there was a pretty much consensus that this draft class was very heavy in the middle rounds. Like you could get a ton of value from 3 to 6, and we saw a ton of value from 3 to 6. It wasn't that top heavy. Some teams only had 13, 14 guys ranked as first round picks. So the more picks you had in this draft, I felt like you said, you're going to throw more darts at the board. You're going to have not all these picks are going to make the team, right? The Cowboys had 9 picks. All those guys are not going to be on the team next year. But a lot of people were like, move up, move your picks up, go get your guy. There was so much talent in the mid rounds where the Cowboys were like, we don't need to move. And they didn't. They stood pat and made all 9 picks. They let their board fall to them. We'll talk about the first pick if it fell to them, but the rest of the draft, they let their board fall to them. I know you're laughing. I'm coming around on the pick, watching his tape. Yeah.
Don't do this to yourself. I've been down this road. This is literally like watching a guy in a relationship make all the mistakes that you've made in a relationship.
I have listened to his interviews. He is articulate. He is smart.
Then go be in chess club.
No, watch. He
can be a Rhodes Scholar and work for the UN.
He's going to start for them at left guard, and I think he's going to be an upgrade from Connor Williams right away. He's big, he's physical, and he's mean compared to small, not physical, and a little bitch. They got bullied last year. He is a bully. Did you see? I think it was Daniel Jeremiah's first thing about him. What he said, he goes, permanently pissed off.
Yeah,
you need that in your offensive lineman.
Me too.
Well, you're also
every
fucking
day.
skinny.
That's why we'll get into the second round pick. I won't give it away, but it's just like some people were Eagles fans were talking about the pick. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to trust Jason Kelce over me, who I am a stick figure. So I don't have the right to talk about offensive line. But to get back to your point, a ton of value in the middle rounds, which was great. With the COVID year and everyone just getting that eligibility back, and we basically just had a reset on college football. So there's a ton of value in the middle rounds, but it wasn't a top heavy draft. It was the opposite of what you're used to. Yep. But then again, that's why I'm glad the Eagles did what they did. It's is there a guy at 18 in this draft who you're going to absolutely be a home run? No. So you went out and got A.J. Brown, who's 24. You gave him a contract that's less than Tyreek Hill, paid less than what the Dolphins gave up for Tyreek Hill, paid less than what the Raiders traded for Devontae Adams, both of whom are older. It's just and Debo is clearly not on the table. He's younger than Allen Robinson, who you tried to make a move for. He doesn't bet on FanDuel like Calvin Ridley. It's just everything worked out, and that was great value. And I think you're going to hear me say that 1,000 times in this episode. Value, getting great value out of what you have.
Cowboys got absolutely fleeced with the Amari Cooper trade. The more that these wide receiver deals are coming out in trades, they had Amari Cooper for $20 million a year.
I just thought about that. You got a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick?
5th round pick, and they swapped 6s.
Oh my God. That is a clear, we don't want anything to do with this guy.
They were done with him. Done.
Yeah.
It got very personal between him and Jerry Jones.
You know what's ironic? I did that with AJ Brown in fantasy this year. I was like, I will just move on. I will take anyone just to get him off my roster.
Now you're like, gimme.
Now I'm like, yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. I really did not. I didn't think any of the wide receivers were going to get moved during the draft. I really didn't.
I did not see it coming on draft night. It was just this weird feeling where that like it was just a constant like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. I mean, they were just like together, and it just felt weird. Like it didn't like Deebo Samuel is a pipe dream, and AJ Brown seemed like a realistic possibility. And I just feel like the Titans really screwed this up. Like he came out and said, I would have stayed for $22 million. Like you were just saying, you got Amari Cooper for 20, AJ Brown at 24 for 22. Like that's just the name of the game these days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're paying DeAndre Hopkins more in Arizona, who's 32 and suspended. It's like
and missed the whole back half of last season.
Exactly. Yeah. So just again, value, incredible value. Awesome. Didn't expect it. Expected them to bolster and try to make. Another reason why I thought like something like this would happen, they tried to trade for Calvin Ridley, and the Falcons were like, "Hey, don't do this. We know what's about to happen. Don't do this." They tried to sign Allen Robinson. Like they were actively trying to get guys in, and this finally fell in their lap, and it all worked out in the end.
And speaking of DeAndre Hopkins and receivers moving, I mean that Hollywood Brown trade obviously had a lot more behind it than any of us knew on draft night.
I don't know how you feel. The move makes way more sense now because they knew it was coming and needed another wide receiver. And they've got Kyler Murray complaining and moaning as if he's done anything of importance or relevance. Then they had to improve around him. I still hated the trade. A first-round pick for Hollywood Brown? Really? Really? It's like you could have had AJ Brown.
Yeah, literally.
First-round pick. Like
literally,
like AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown, both got for a first round pick, 4 picks apart. Come on, what are you doing?
That's the Ravens.
I know. So TikTok tonight, we're going to do steals of the draft. The Ravens will come up in some form or fashion among
they
all
have
of
to,
us, without a doubt. So let's talk first round picks. We're gonna go through them all and just give our favorite pick and the overall grade as we go through here. You want me to start and we'll just rotate?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. It happened. It really freaking happened. It happened. Jordan Davis. I went back and I watched our mock drafts. I took them all 5 times. All 5 mock drafts, I took Jordan Davis.
You did.
And
you willed it into reality.
I did it. I spoke it in reality, and the whole strategy, we'll get to it in the Kobe Dean. I spoke it. I did it. I really freaking did it. I made a difference in society. Some people go door to door and sign up voters for elections. I bullied the Eagles front office into drafting SEC players. Don't ever let someone tell you that a common man can't make a difference in society.
You did it. You got 2 24ths of the Georgia draft picks.
I could have gone for more. We got into the 4th round. I was like, is there anyone from Georgia left?
There was a couple guys going.
Oh man. Yeah. I was like, give me that other safety.
There was like, I think like the 3rd linebacker went in like the 4th or 5th round, and he looked like he was good.
So actually Quay Walker and Channing Tindall, the other 2 linebackers, went before Dean.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But
I think we talked about Quay Walker. There was a lot of talk about him jumping into the 1st round. He was the first linebacker taken over Lloyd, over Dean, guys that we thought. I really thought I thought Devin Lloyd was going to be the first linebacker off the board, and he ends up going.
He was all anybody talked about all week leading up to it was Devin Lloyd is going to be the first linebacker. I'm sure bettors lost a lot of money if you were betting first linebacker. You probably won a lot of money if you went Quay Walker. But again, get the best players from the best teams. That was a good pick by the Packers. That was a good pick. And their team's mad like you didn't get a receiver. I understand that. but there was no really good wide receivers left at that point. A lot of people went right before it. So yeah, Jordan Davis, you went with the best player, best team, best player, best team. The strategy has finally come to fruition. I am so excited to have him. He is somehow even bigger than I thought. And it's just hilarious. Like, to manifest something like this and to watch the tape and to just get the guy that you wanted this entire time, I'm just over the moon. I could not be more excited.
Yeah, he's going to be a good player if he can stay on the field.
If he can stay on the field, but also I want depth at the defensive line position.
Of
I don't
course,
want him to, like, I look at it this way. I don't need to see him 90% of the snaps. I'd like to see him more than 20, but Fletcher Cox, Siobhan Hargrave, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis. Give me that defensive interior versus anybody in the league. And I'm sure the Rams with Aaron Donald and anybody are up there, but I was just like, yeah.
When you need defensive line rotation. When we saw with the Cowboys last year, right? When DeMarcus Lawrence came back and Randy Gregory came back, once all those guys were there and they were rotating, Dorrance Armstrong, Osa in the middle, Neville Gallimore. When you have a good rotation, you can keep your guys fresh. It is a game changer.
Oh, 100%. And you know what it is? It's like pressing the other team. You might not get first turnovers in the first quarter, first half. By the fourth quarter and the second half, you start to see hands on hips on that offensive line because they've been just getting pile drived for 4 quarters by some big dogs.
And that's what you need, especially against teams that run the ball and teams that have good offensive lines, because the way they play football is that offensive line leaning on the defensive line all day long. And when you don't have a rotation in your defensive line and you're just getting leaned on by a good offensive, then it's the opposite way. And then by the third, fourth quarter, your defensive line is gassed.
Yeah. And just the flexibility that a guy like Jordan Davis gives you when he's leaning on that offensive line. All right, then you start to bring blitzes. Then you start to bring linebackers. It's like, all right, we know we got to double team this behemoth, incredible Hulk, Godzilla of a man in the middle, and we have to assign 2 offensive linemen to him. So if we have 2 offensive linemen who have to double team this guy, who's picking up Kazir White and Nakobe Dean when they come flying up the middle? Is our running back going to be able to notice that he has to pick this up because everybody else on that defensive line has to stop this meteor of a man crashing into us? Like, the flexibility that he creates. And that's why Jonathan Gannon reportedly wanted a tackle and an interior nose tackle so bad, is because he realized what it opened up for the rest of the defense.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Just like he is the linchpin for this defense now for the next 5 to 6 years. Knock on wood.
Yep.
So
there's nothing at that point in the draft. If they were top 3 pick and they took him, I would question it. But in that point in the draft, I think they went up. Do you think they moved up because Baltimore was going to take him?
Yes. I've heard that. I've watched multiple draft recaps where that was the issue. So the Ravens and the Eagles had very similar draft boards, very similar needs. They wanted Olave. They liked Jameson Williams. Apparently, the Eagles had tried to trade up for Jameson Williams and then Jordan Davis. The Ravens were sitting there doing the same thing. We'll get into the Ravens later. Like, they just don't lose drafts. But those were guys on the draft board as well, which gives me a little, I feel pretty good about the draft board when we have the same draft board as the Ravens. I'll take that. So yeah, that I just like the common sense of that pick was fantastic. Like, just take the guy who makes the most sense.
If they couldn't move and the Ravens had taken Jordan Davis, do you think Kyle Hamilton would have been the pick?
No. I had heard that day he was not even in consideration.
Wow.
I honestly don't know who the pick. I really don't know who the pick would have been. I really don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to know. That should be like I wish they would have asked him, like, hey, if this didn't work out, what were you going to do? Because apparently they weren't like high on Kyle Hamilton. So
wow.
I don't know what it is, especially for a team that in the secondary, there's still questions. If there's one thing coming out of this draft, like it was an 11 out of 10, it was an A+, but this team was not 1 to 2 players away from competing. And you got positions of need, but you didn't get secondary. So I don't know what the plan is, but Safety is definitely of concern. All right. We did 15, trade to 13, got Jordan Davis, best player from the best team. Fantastic. Love it. Common sense. Traded for A.J. Brown at 18. Love it. Great value. Great job of creating flexibility with your picks in order to pull that move off. Pairing him with Devontae Smith. Go, Kevin, pick 24, Cowboys.
So, first come, first serve. I was not happy. Tyler Smith was on my puke list. Obviously, this is the thing. It wasn't the player that made him go on the puke list. It was because the Cowboys telegraph their picks sometimes, and they're just so boringly obvious. And we knew, like, if you go back 2 months and you read the tea leaves, it was Tyler Smith and then Sam Williams. Like that was 24 and 56. And that's what it turned out to be. So I was more of like, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay. And I didn't love it. Tulsa, this and that, but I watched his film. He's raw, but he's got a unbelievable ceiling and untapped potential. They were not the only team that had him in that spot. No, the Titans admitted to it. They were coming up 224 to trade with Dallas to pick him. And Jerry Jones, being Jerry Jones, I don't know how the fuck he does it, got them to admit who they were coming up for. And they said Tyler Smith. And then that's why Dallas rejected the trade, because that's who they wanted to pick. They said if they were coming up for someone else and they could have moved back for him to, I think it was like 28, they would have been fine with it.
Oh, you got to ask. You can't just trade the pick away and not find out who they're
going to. But a lot of teams
for.
won't usually tell you, apparently.
You have to know, though. Because if you have a guy in mind, like,
but I guess that's the Russian roulette game you play sometimes.
I guess, but I feel like most times you got to know. You got to know that guy's going to be there when you move up the board.
So he's going. They say he's a left side player for them. They like Terrence Steele. He's not going to play right tackle for them. He's not going to play left tackle immediately. He could be the left tackle of the future, going from Tyron Smith to Tyler Smith. But he's going to play left guard. He's a big, mean behemoth of a man. He's got to work on his hands and his footwork, but his strength is there. They say his football IQ is extremely smart. So he's very articulate. People are going to laugh at the pick, but at the same time, let's see what the kid does. Yeah, you can. That's fine. People can laugh at Nakobe Dean. He's fucking 3 feet tall and he's hurt. Who knows?
No one's laughing at that pick.
Jordan Davis is the same thing. Is he going to stay on the field? No one knows.
No one knows.
Everybody laughed. Huh?
No one knows about any of these kids.
Exactly.
That's what makes this fun, is that all of us have hope right now. Except maybe like the Jaguars.
I'm not saying that the Tyler Smith is an A+, but we also don't know. I didn't dive into Tyler Smith tape beforehand. You didn't. We didn't watch him play. But he did play against good teams. He played in the horseshoe at Ohio State and performed well against a good Ohio State defense. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. The Dallas Cowboys, when they have taken first-round offensive linemen, have hit all the time. Zach Martin, yeah,
but that was like everybody was like Zach Martin, creme de la creme offensive lineman, tailor-made to succeed in the NFL.
Nope. Every time they've taken a first-round offensive lineman, it's hit. So I'm going to believe in Will McClay. I'm going to believe in their board, and I'm going to let this kid play it out and see what he can do. It's all we can do at this point.
Here's my issue, and just take it from cautionary tales from me, because I've been through this. Projection over production. I don't want that anymore. Like, I need to see that this kid, that's my whole spiel that I've been giving for months. I want players from winning programs that were blue chip recruits and went to big schools, and they won at big schools because of how good they were. Like, I want to see the production. And it's just like, this kid feels like it's a projection at the next level that he'll be great, instead of like finding the guy there at 24 who's proved it already. That's what, and maybe in this draft, that's fine.
There wasn't that much about it. There wasn't that much of that at 24.
That's fair. Like in this first round, it wasn't even top heavy in the top 10, let alone in the first round.
Like they could have taken Jermaine Johnson, but Jermaine Johnson's almost kind of a Tank Lawrence, and they wanted something different. They wanted more of a Randy Gregory, that speed edge, which they ended up getting. So I don't think Jermaine Johnson was ever an option, because then you have 2 Tank Lawrences coming off the edges, and that's not really what you want. So
I don't know. The more tanks, the better, apparently. That's where my tax money goes.
Does. I owed money this year. All right. So, yeah. So, Tyler Smith is Tyler Smith. I'm excited, to see what he can do at the next level. That's pretty much the only place I can go with that.
Let's stay offensive line. Second round with the Eagles. Cam Jurgens, center out of Nebraska. I'm just going to be the middleman guy. I said this on TikTok Live. Also, TikTok Live is very addicting. I had so much fun being live for the Eagles second round and third round picks. That was awesome. We need to do that way more often. That was
I got a new iPhone 13 today. I got plenty of storage now. I can do some fun stuff now.
Hell yeah, you got to go live when we do schedule. Vince in the back, remind me schedule release. We'll go live on TikTok.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, center middleman.
Eagles playing at Arizona week 7. Deandre
That
Hopkins
would be hilarious. Without a doubt. I have no doubt in my mind that we will get stuck with DeAndre Hopkins. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the middleman on this. I see both perspectives. So from the fan perspective, people were like, okay, you got a center, but this is a problem a year from now. You have problems pressing right now. Like, who is playing corner opposite Darius Slay? Who is your safety? At the time, they were saying, who is your linebacker? All of these things. And they went center when they know Jason Kelce will be back this year. So I get where the fans are coming from. We're like, you're trying to plug a hole that isn't a hole yet when you already have holes that need to be plugged. I get it. But I see it from the other side. The Eagles have had Jason Kelce scouting centers and offensive linemen for them for the past 3 years. That's what Kelce said on the stream that he was doing for the draft on Bleacher Report with Adam Lefkoe. He said that Cam Jurgens comped out the most to him, and he is the hand-picked replacement by Kelce himself. I'm going to trust the all-pro center who has an outside chance at making the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, the absolute Hall of Fame for the Eagles, and probably maybe the Hall of Fame in general. I'll take his word for it that he knows what he's talking about with this kid, and it's fine. Because if he is the heir apparent, he is the heir apparent, and that is perfectly fine if you can slide one from the other next year. I get it. There's holes. There's other holes. But this is a draft where you couldn't fix everything right away, and you got the heir apparent to Kelce. So I'm trusting the word of a guy who knows offensive line way more than I do.
I think that also tells you 2 things. 1, they don't love Landon Dickerson at center, and 2, This is the last year for Jason Kelce.
100%. So this is 1,000,000,000% the last year for Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce. It will be sad at the end, but you probably found 2 viable replacements for them in this draft, which is a phenomenal job of that. You can't have a short-term view in the room when you're drafting. That's another rule. It's getting value. It's creating flexibility. It's not having short-term views. So I love that.
Well, especially when you said too, like this, your team is not one draft away from a Super Bowl.
No. And Howie Roseman himself said that. But like, that's understanding and having, like, you could have easily sold yourself on, oh, we made the playoffs last year, just 1 or 2 pieces away, and we'd be competing with the Buccaneers instead of getting blown out. No, you were not close at all. This is, you're in a rebuild. You're ahead of schedule, but you're in a rebuild. So that was a phenomenal job. And you're right. I mean, Dickerson played great at guard. Why change things? You need a guard as well. If you move him to center, guess what? That's another hole. You just open another hole.
And they released Nate Herbig, correct?
Yeah,
this week?
Which is odd. Unless he just refuses to be here. I found that very odd that he did.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, he signed his restricted free agent tender. He had gotten playing time here. I thought he was a great depth piece on the line. That was weird.
I would take him down in Dallas right now.
Yeah. Well, submit your offer. And if you want Reagor too, send an offer. Dillard, all of them. Actually, Dillard might play guard now.
Did you see the pictures of Dillard?
Yeah, he's pretty ripped.
He's huge now. He turned himself into the mountain.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's gonna be some mass on the interior lines for the Eagles, which is what I want. We're just gonna be glaciers running into stuff. That's fine with me. So yeah, I get the pick. I understand it. I'm fine with it. I'm not doing backflips like I was for Jordan Davis, but yeah, good pick.
All right, is it me? So at 56 overall, the Dallas takes the outside linebacker D end Sam Williams out of Ole Miss, but he wants to be called D Williams, DE. Apparently that's his name at home. His middle name is Samuel.
I like that better.
Yeah, D Williams. You want to talk about, so some people, this is where the draft really kind of could have went two ways for Dallas. They were sitting at 56 and then 88, and they had two guys in mind that they really wanted, and with Sam Williams and Jalen Tolbert, the wide receiver out of South Alabama. And they had Tolbert on their board, and they were ready to pick him at 56, but they didn't want to lose Williams. And I think they felt if they took Tolbert, Williams definitely would have been gone by 88. And they had a shot to get Tolbert at 88, possibly if they took Williams at 56. Did they go maybe a little high on Williams at 56? Probably. I think people had him more in the mid 60s range. But if you love a guy and you don't have a chance, and you also don't want to give up draft capital later on in the draft that is very deep, I get it. So they take the DN out of Ole Miss that ran a 4.46, and for a big DN to run 4.46, and now you have 4.46 speed coming off one edge and 4.39 speed and Micah Parsons coming off the other edge. Yes, please. You talk about best players available on the best teams. Now, Ole Miss wasn't the best team, but they played in the SEC. And he had 12.5 sacks last season in the SEC.
Going against Alabama, Evan Neal, other big names.
Charles Cross, the other.
Cross, Mississippi State, correct.
He bulldozed Charles Cross. You see his motor, the way he gets. There was one against Auburn where Bo Nix broke away from him and he fell down, and he got back up and chased him down and sacked him anyway. It's just
I did see that. Yes. Yeah.
And that's the type of thing I love. I love high motor guys that are never going to give up on a play. And the other thing, Dan Quinn absolutely loves him. Dan Quinn went to Ole Miss and did a private workout with him. Everything Dan Quinn did last year for the Cowboys turned to gold. If Dan Quinn believes in him, feels like he can turn him into a product, I'm good.
I feel like that's where we are with both of our second round picks. It's like, okay, this guy who clearly knows what they're talking about believes in this prospect. So I have all the right in the world to also believe in the prospect. That is, you know what? Believe in the experts.
Now he had some off the field issues.
I was about to say, do we want to say the catch?
Yes, of course. But however, I think that was his freshman year, and he has had he's had a baby since then. And apparently there was a lot of dudes in this draft that are fathers already. But
yeah, man,
unbelievable. But he has turned, apparently, all the experts said he's been on the straight and narrow since he had the child. So I hope that is true. Have you seen, Aidan, the one picture of him holding his kid?
No.
Hold on. I'm going to pull this up real quick.
Oh, is this the guy who looks like Amari Cooper?
No, Micah Parsons.
He looks like Micah Parsons. Pull it up for me.
So they got a Micah Parsons lookalike. Oh, where is it? Why? It's a video?
He kind of does. Oh, it's the first round pick that looks like Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
The second round pick looks like Micah Parsons.
At the All-American campaign.
Look at him.
Yeah. That's I can see a Cowboys draft room where most of these guys are sold on his talent level and how he graded out as a prospect. And Jerry Jones was sold on the fact that he looked like Micah Parsons.
Apparently, Jerry was all in on him. This was like the Jerry.
Yeah,
Jerry
but is that
pick.
a good thing? Is that what you want?
At times, yes.
No, he's just not a voice that we talked about. Expert Jason Kelce, Dan Quinn, all these experts who I trust. Jerry Jones does not meet the criteria of people who I trust.
I mean, but Dan Quinn is one for me. So
yeah,
if Dan Quinn puts his stamp of approval on it, I'm okay.
That's fine. That's fine. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of boomer bust potential with this draft.
Big time.
And he is the epitome of boomer bust.
And have you heard or seen the breakdowns from your guy Baldy?
I have not.
He's done about 3 on Sam Williams, and he said there is no better defensive end in this draft class than Sam Williams. He is on par with all the other defensive ends.
That is quite the statement.
I was like, whoa.
I was like,
he said
no.
Sure? He said he has head and shoulders above any other defensive end in first step in this draft.
Ooh. I don't want to give away my TikTok, but I don't know if that's true. But listen, I do think I think he's a really, really good athlete. So I don't think it's the most insane statement, but I think there are people that are close.
Mm-hmm.
So 3rd round. Do you have anything more on the?
No, that's good. That's
on
good.
D Sam to Samuel, Sam D, Sam D's nuts. Did you pick in the 3rd round before us?
We were pick 88.
We were pick 83, so I'll do mine.
Yep.
And then from there, it's pretty easy with the Eagles draft. But this 83, 3rd round, all of my prayers were answered. I have never needed a draft pick more in my entire life. To set the stage, Joel Embiid breaks his face. He is concussed. Our season is in jeopardy. I'm feeling down. The Phillies get no hit. And then the Eagles land Nakobe Dean at pick 83. Oh, I love this pick for so many reasons. 1, understanding value. Yeah, there are some concerns. Injury, size. So don't take him at 15. Don't take him at 18. Didn't even take him at 51. But yeah, in the 3rd round on pick 83, I'm content on taking this chance on him.
Yeah, I was ready to take him at 88.
There you go, at 88. And then, again, best players on best teams. If he was entrusted to run the defense at Georgia, who was statistically the greatest defense since Miami in 2002, I am going to take my chance with this kid. And then 3, they have finally realized that you have to invest in the linebacker position. Is it the most important position in football? No. But you have to at least try.
Mm-hmm.
You have to at least try. And now they've signed Kazir White. They've drafted Nakobe Dean. They are trying at the linebacker position. Everything about this pick is what I've been screaming for the Eagles to do. Best player, best teams. Get the value on the board. Invest in linebacker. They did everything at once with a prospect that I love. I am over the moon. I needed it so bad.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. He was the last guy in the green room, right?
He wasn't even there. They didn't even bring him up at that point. Yeah. He was the video I saw, he was at home. So he didn't wear the suit. I was like, said you like wear the suit again, or like how's this work?
No, you can't wear the 1st round fit.
No.
Again.
No. Yeah.
His agent must have got some bad information.
Yeah.
And the NFL did too, because you're not invited to the draft unless they think you're going 1st round.
Yeah, and they think you're going 1st round. And did the NFL get bad information on him? Because he's supposed to, Howie Roseman said he'll be in rookie camp next week.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
all of this talk about this pectoral injury where his chest is going to fall off,
and his
kid's going to be out there in May, the middle of May. They think he'll be ready for, like, they're just like, yeah, he's good. He'll play. So I think, so there was more than that. It was just not the pec. They were also like ankle, knee, and you're like, all right, doesn't sound great. I looked it up. He started every game. He had the highest usage rate of any linebacker. 3 of them got drafted. He played 66% of the snaps, which was higher than Quay Walker. It was higher than Channing Tindall. So, okay, right there, you're like, so there's all these durability concerns, but there was never a durability concern during the season. And then the other thing that's knock on him is the size. And you're saying, well, he might not be able to shed blocks at the next level because of his size. The Georgia defensive line just took care of that because they were all behemoths and so good, and all of them got drafted. But we went out and got the biggest guy on the Georgia defensive line and stuck him right in front of Kobe Dean and said, why don't you go do the same thing in college and let Jordan Davis take this on and you just fly around and make tackles? It makes so much sense. Common sense prevails. Oh, do you hear this, Doc Rivers? You can just use common sense and it'll work. Just use common freaking sense and everything will work out for you in the end. Just do it. Just do it. Use simple brain power. Oh, my God.
What was I saying about Nakobe Dean leading up to the draft the whole time? That he needed to go to a place with a good defensive line.
Yep.
And a big defensive line because of his size, and he needs to be offensive lineman. He needs to be not so. Yeah, no, it's a perfect landing spot for him, I believe. Unfortunately,
I cannot be more excited. I needed it so bad. And even if he fails, guess what? It was still the right pick. It was still the right pick. Yeah. All right, to 88, and then I can quick finish up our draft and give my grade.
All right, so like I said, they were looking at this player at 56, and they almost picked him. Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver from South Alabama. He was very high on a lot of teams' boards outside of those first couple guys, right? The Jamison Williams and Drake Londons of the world, even Jahan Dotson and a few other guys that went in the second round. He was like that next guy. He's got 4.4 speed. He can stretch the field, which Dallas needs, especially with Michael Gallup being out. Michael Gallup is that stretch the field type guy. So in the beginning, he's going to, help in that regard. He has no problem going over the middle, which I love. He's a tough guy. Apparently, he's a big smack talker, which I like. They asked him on the draft show right when after he was drafted, like Brian Broaddus was like, I see on all the highlights, you like to talk. He's like, hey, guys want to talk. They need to hear it. They need to get it back. So I'm good with that.
Great job by our front offices to utilize the meme of the analytics guy staring at the mountain on the bus,
yes,
and being sad, and then the guy looking into the sunset, and he's got that dog in him guy, and we just went after he's got the dog in him guys. Great job by our front office to utilize that meme and be the dog in him guys.
He's a dog. I love it. And what I liked to see on the tape that I watched him as well is him doing it also against good teams. Some of his best highlights were against Tennessee, SEC, and he was playing at South Alabama. So he can stretch the field, he can catch it, he can go over the middle. I think he's going to be a very Dak-friendly receiver, like they say, because he's a good hands catcher. Obviously, he's a rookie. I'm not expecting 1,000 yards out of him this year, but 30 to 40 catches maybe this year. I'd be 600 yards, a couple touchdowns. I'd be happy. They needed to infuse some more life. They definitely needed to go wide receiver. That was the other thing. They drafted, obviously, who they thought was their best players available, but at the same time, I know you don't always want to draft by need, but this team needed to also fill holes because they have a lot of them to fill.
Yeah, sometimes it helps. Yeah.
Offensive line, defensive end, wide receiver. We kind of all knew that in the first 3 rounds, it was going to go in some kind of order of that, and it just happened to go that way. So this was out of my first 3, this was my favorite pick. I think he's going to fit in perfectly.
We'll say that for 2 minutes.
Well, that might not be my favorite pick of the whole. I'm saying out of the first 3 rounds.
Okay. Ooh, a little foreshadowing. All right, we're gonna give our favorite pick and our overall grades here at the end. Anything else on him? I can do the Eagles, and
you're good.
Cool. All right, so the Eagles, I'll do the last 2 picks. Obviously, there's a pretty wide gap because AJ Brown's 24 and he's ours. So I have 2 picks here in the 6th round, and they were 10 picks apart. Kyron Johnson out of Kansas. He's the prototypical, like, this draft was loaded in the middle rounds. Probably wouldn't be there in the 6th round in a normal draft. Probably would go 3, 4, possibly 5. He's got that dog in him guy. He seems to be everything that they wanted Jannard Avery to be, and he never became. And you can just see Kyron Johnson becoming that. If he played at another school that wasn't Kansas, violated my rule. That was my only thing. Best players, best teams. They got good player from worst team in college football in Kansas. So that's the only thing. If he went somewhere else, if this kid goes to Texas, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, anybody else in the Big 12, he's not going in the 6th round. So that's a great pick. Grant Calcaterra. I really like this pick. I have to choose my favorite. Man, I know why he fell, but even so, if this is a normal draft, I don't think he goes 6th round. And what I loved, I heard Todd McShay talking about him, and he said it just felt like when he was at Oklahoma, anytime they needed a catch on a team that had CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown, all these guys, he was the 3rd down guy. They were like, we need a play. They went to Grant freaking Calcaterra over all of those guys. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that guy. So he's a great route runner who can create space, not necessarily with speed, but just like with footwork and technique. Not a great blocker, and is the most reliable guy on the field on 3rd down. If only there was a tight end in Philadelphia that we had before with all of those exact traits. It sounds very familiar to what I'm used to from a tight end in Philadelphia. I really like this pick. Again, I get why he fell, but man, I will take my chance on a kid like this in the 6th round.
Not a bad pick at all.
Not a bad haul for us here.
All right. So I'll shoot through this pretty quick here because you're done. And Dallas, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks left.
All right. Yeah, you might have to rapid fire.
4th round pick. Dallas had 4 picks in the 5th round and then a 6th round pick. So the next pick, another pick of need, Jake Ferguson at 129 in the 4th round, tight end out of Wisconsin. He kind of was the prototypical exact type of tight end that they like. He's athletic. He's not going to completely stretch the field. He can definitely block. They said the softest hands out of any tight end in this draft. They had a bulk of tight ends that they liked. McBride went right ahead of them in the 2nd round to Arizona, which I really liked. He was tight end 1. And then they kind of started getting, there was a little bit of a run day 3 on the tight ends. Thought they were going to lose out. I projected about 2 hours earlier. I said, if Jake Ferguson's there, I tweeted it. It's in writing. I said, if Jake Ferguson is there at 129, he's going to be the pick. And he was. I will take tight ends and linemen from Wisconsin all day long.
That's true.
In the draft.
There's certain positions at certain schools where you're like, yep.
Give me the tight end. They have Dalton Schultz under the franchise tag this year. I don't think they're going to sign him to a long-term deal. They really like Sean McEwen, who's on the team already. So what I think the deal is that they're going to play Schultz on his tag this year, let him walk, and then they're going to move forward with McEwen, Ferguson, and maybe even a draft pick again next year. I think this puts Jeremy Sprinkle on the hot seat. I don't think he'll make the roster this year. They're not going to carry 4 tight ends. So that was their 4th round pick. Then it was 155. I saw this kid when we were doing all of our mock drafts. I think I might have mocked him one time. Matt Walletsko from North Dakota, not North Dakota State, straight up North Dakota. He is 6. Have you seen what is this?
Yeah, you sent me a picture.
Yeah.
Can he play backup?
Get a picture real quick of Matt Walletsko. No, he can't. He's on his phone. So
he's pulling it up.
Chatting with steaks. He's talking chicken cheesesteaks.
And then a business call.
Extra cheesesteaks. So he's definitely a project type guy, but I feel like on the line with what they have a chance. This is fine. They went traits in these later rounds, which I'm fine with. 5, 6, 7. Give me traits, guys. He is huge. Yeah. He is a mauler. He can be molded into what they want him to be. He was pick 155. A lot of teams had him as a 4th round pick, so they get him with their first pick in the 5th round, which I'm completely fine with. This was, look at this dude. If that doesn't say North Dakota, I don't know what would.
It says hermit who lives in the woods and lives off the land and built a log cabin by himself.
Who's going to fucking walk to work? Look at all the way down left-hand side. Or yeah, right. Go 2 pictures down from the right-hand side where he's just next to this small little man. Yep.
There we go. Nope.
Up 1, over 1. Over to the right, other way.
There it is. All right.
Look how tall he is. So traits guy, he's not going to start right away. They're going to have to put a lot of work into him, which is fine. But give me his traits at 155.
Traits, yes. I was about to say rounds 5 through 7, 4 through 7. Traits guys. Just be good at something.
Yes. All right. So then they had 167. This was kind of where everyone's like, are they going to entertain Damon Clark yet? The linebacker from LSU who had spinal fusion surgery, but all of the experts are saying he is going to be fine. This isn't like a long-term thing. 6-month recovery, but so they didn't. They picked Deron Bland. He's a cornerback out of Fresno State, another traits guy, tall, lanky, fast corner, a Dan Quinn type guy. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a ton about him. Didn't watch a lot of Fresno State tape, but scouts loved him. He is a prototypical tree that Dan Quinn likes to put out there. They needed another cornerback, so I am fine with this pick as well.
I bet on them one time, and they lost. They were 10-point favorites and lost outright. So he sucks.
Yep. Okay. He sucks.
That's how that works.
So then from 167, they next had 176 and 178. So they had 2 picks within 3, and this is where they went Damon Clark, linebacker, LSU, and I love this pick. They have absolutely love this pick.
I thought you were going the opposite way.
Have you ever seen him play?
Yeah, I remember I mocked him one time to the Eagles.
He hits like a freight train.
Yeah, that's why he's having spinal fusion surgery.
That's
probably.
Fine. That's fine. He doesn't need to play this year. But if we can have a linebacking core the year after of him and Jabril Cox and Micah Parsons, what could be?
Cox.
Thank you. I'm all about it. Again, 155, 5th round pick. People had him mocked in the 2nd if he didn't have the injury. So he has the talent. He has the traits. I am all in on this pick.
I do like this kid. Like I said, I mocked him the Eagles, but I do think it's funny how the Cowboys fans were like, oh, the Kobe Dean, injury prone, all this stuff. And then they went guy with spinal fusion surgery at linebacker. I was like, okay.
I'm sorry, 176 overall.
Yeah. Like I said, I like him. It was just a little bit funny. Like, all right, pec strain, spinal fusion.
We'll see.
Think spinal fusion just sounds bad. If you go to the doctor and you're like, man, my back hurts. I've been sore in the back. I think I might have pulled a muscle doing upright rows at the gym. And they were like, you have to have spinal fusion surgery. You'd be like, what? That would sound terrible of a diagnosis. That word just sounds bad.
These dudes are different than us, bro. Spinal fusion surgery. Like, okay.
That is for sure.
We're fine. Sure. I'll be hitting people tomorrow. So then 2 picks later, they went John Ridgway, the defensive tackle from Arkansas. This was the big happy pick in the war room. If you're watching Dallas Cowboys War Room, Cam,
was it?
They all went to Arkansas.
That's
Larry went there. Steven went there. They all went to Arkansas, and they never, ever pick Arkansas players, which is amazing. The last time they picked an Arkansas player overall was Felix Jones. So,
I loved him.
Also, by the way, well, I'm reminded of this. It is mind-blowing to me that Texas did not have one player drafted.
As someone who was forced to root for Texas for a year, it is not that mind-blowing to me. They are the dumbest group of human beings I have ever watched. And I've sat through 25 years of Philly sports. And I can honestly say, I don't know how Texas fans do it. They are a class above in terms of flat-out dumbness.
All right, so John is a big-ass defensive tackle that likes to hurt people. When they interviewed him on the show,
He's got that dog in him.
He said he wants to break people's necks on the field. If he can't do that, he's just going to hit somebody really hard every play and make the crowd go wild. I felt like I immediately saw like the Gladiator meme. Like, are you not entertained? Like, that's what I saw. And then I watched his tape, and he's just this big, blubbery white dude that looks exactly what I expect out of Arkansas. And he is the younger, bigger, healthier, cheaper Brent Urban. They even gave him Brent Urban's number, I believe. So I love you, Brent Urban, but it's
so
over.
they believe it. They believe it just like you. They're like, yeah, this works. This is a good comp.
So he sounds like, look at this dude. Yep, just go over. Give me that one of him flexing.
That guy has rustled a boar at one time in his life.
100%. Look at him.
Or never mind. I'll get in trouble if I say it.
He is just.
I'm just gonna leave it at he wrestled a boar.
He is a big piece of meat that is just gonna hurt people, and that's what the Cowboys need on their defensive line going against your big behemoths too. They need big, strong dogs. There it is. Him and Jarrah.
That was a moment. That is the Jerry Jones hugging him after the Arkansas game it looks like that is AT&T Stadium because the stupid sun is in the wrong position. It's blinding everyone, so it must be AT&T Stadium. That was the moment he was like, "Yeah, I got to get this kid."
Thank you. And then their final pick in the 6th round, 193. They went Devin Harper, linebacker from Oklahoma State, another traits guy. He can fly. Really fast guy. If you watch his tape, he's always all over the field. I think he's going to be a special teams ace for them. And that's the type of guy that you need with your last pick in the draft. I think he's going to make this team. I think he's going to be great on special teams. I don't think he's an every down linebacker. He's actually older. I think he's 23 years old already. But he is he's another traits guy, which I'm fine with in the 6th round, a guy that's going to help on special teams and add more team speed. So I'm going to give this entire draft a B for the Cowboys. I give the Tyler Smith probably like a C, but then after that, I feel like especially rounds 3 through 5, I guess you could say 3 through 6, even the Sam Williams in the 2nd round, I think they did phenomenally. They stuck to their board. They let good players fall to them, and they just picked good players at positions of need at the same time. So they're going. The big highlight is their 1st round pick, obviously, because it's America's team and it's Dallas and it's the media, and they took a player that no one knew. But after that, the way they drafted was a work of art. They let it fall to them. They trusted their board, and they took good players. I was very, very, very happy. Rounds 2 through 6, I got to watch for the first time all 262 picks. I watched every single pick.
And there's no good time to get COVID, but if there was a time, it would be this weekend. That or March Madness.
My wife did not believe me. She's like, "You need to show me another COVID test."
She was also like, "Yeah, if I was there, that would not have happened."
No, we literally texted me. She's like, "Yeah, that."
If I was there,
I think she actually texted me, "I would not have allowed that." I think that was the text. So yeah, awful time, but great time to have COVID locked away with Kyle Yeomans and those boys. And shout out to them. I mean, I don't think any other team does it the way they do it with the draft show, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
But yeah, there's a few draft show. There's good draft analysts, but those guys to be localized and still know the knowledge of every player for every team.
So cool.
Like, because you're doing double duty. Like it's a Cowboy show, and yet all 31 other teams draft needs. It's remarkable. Yeah. So good for them. We got to get him back on soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do it this summer. Yeah. So give me your favorite draft pick.
I think I'm going to go Ridgway.
Okay.
But no, I'm going to go Tolbert because I think he's going to have a bigger impact right away.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go Tolbert, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I hate that because it's flashy and it's wide receiver and blah blah blah. But I really like his game. Yeah, no, it's Tolbert. Oh, and I loved. I think you can agree with this too. I think both of our teams did well. We won't know obviously but I think we both did great in the rookie free agent deals as well.
Yes.
You got the cornerback from Alabama. We got the safety from Florida A&M. Plus, the center from Boston College, who everybody had in like early rounds, and I think is going to push to make this team. So I think we both killed it in rookie free agency as well.
Totally agree. Carson Strong too, like that. He was mocked as a top 5 quarterback before a knee injury. Gardner Minshew is not going to be here forever as the backup. So like you have your backup quarterback now. I also
need a Carson at quarterback.
I needed a Carson in my life at quarterback. I needed one. And you're right. Just again, best players, best teams. They got Josh Jobe from Alabama. So and they gave out money. Like what are you afraid of spending $200,000 on with these other teams?
That's what Dallas did for the safety. They gave him $200,000 guaranteed.
We spent money. It's like that's one of the highest for undrafted free agents. Who cares? Yep. Who cares? You're billionaires. $200,000 is nothing. Spend it. Take the risk. There's not a lot of risk involved. You're right. I forgot to bring that up. I thought we both did a great job of targeting those guys after the draft.
Yep.
That's how you build depth.
Yep.
Cheap, inexpensive guys like that.
All right. So what's your grade and favorite pick?
Grade absolute A. If here's the disclaimer. I'm including AJ Brown as a draft pick. So A+. I have not felt this good about a draft. Here we are, the A draft grades. Who's this from, Vince? Who put this together? Oh, PFF. Guy works for Sharp Analysis and he pulls up the PFF draft grades. Unbelievable. He's gonna be fired by Tuesday. So Chiefs A+, Lions A+, Ravens A+. We're going to get into some teams that we liked real quick. The Eagles were an A. I totally agree. Just for all of the reasons that I've been saying all show, but I think Howie Roseman has truly seen the light. Back-to-back years, taking players early from national championship teams, award winners from national championship teams who made impacts on championship teams, bring winners in here who are proven and produce in college for big-time programs. It's what they did, and they did it again. And, oh, yeah, they got the wide receiver across from Devontae Smith. This is the best that our wide receiver room has been in so long. It's the most confident I've been that a wide receiver room is going to get open since Terrell freaking Owens caught that pass in a preseason game against the Baltimore Ravens. Like, it's a sigh of relief what they did in this draft and the strategy that they chose. Best players, best teams, get value out of your picks. And it doesn't necessarily need to be positions of need, but they did get positions of need. And just best player available. And going off that, my favorite pick was Nakobe Dean. Obviously, I could have went Jordan Davis since I mocked him all 5 times. But Nakobe just fits all of the check marks I'm talking about. He was the best player on the board at 83. So go get him. Just do it. And, it's like you're not even taking a risk at that point. You're just making the common sense pick. I thought everything they did, they just drafted for value and they drafted with common sense. And to top it all off, they got a wide receiver 1. I could not be more proud of what they did because it's a long time coming and I never thought I'd see the day.
Boom. All right. Besides our 2, before we wrap this up and go to our TikTok, give me 1, 2, or 3 teams that you loved their drafts.
Loved the Jets. The Jets were awesome. You have them as well. Yeah. Agreed. So just obviously I thought they got the best corner in Sauce.
Yep.
A lot of people thought Garrett Wilson was the best receiver.
Did you see his necklace?
Yes, you sent it to me. There's actual sauce in the chain. That's just unreal.
He's like, you never know which sauce is in it. It could be barbecue sauce today, teriyaki sauce tomorrow.
I love that. So we got the Jets pulled up here. If you're watching on YouTube, the first 4 picks. I mean, this is incredible value. They probably got the highest rated corner by a lot of people. They got the highest rated wide receiver by a lot of people. They got Jermaine Johnson at 26, who was a top 15 value for a lot of people. And then Breece Hall was, depending on who you ask, either the first running back or the second running back off the board. You got him at 36. Like, they are another team that this is not an overnight fix, but they got great value at every single pick in those first 4. Like those you got 4 starters right there.
Did you see the Jeremy Ruckert video when he was drafted?
No.
He's from Long Island, so he's like a New York guy, and his dad was just like this big New Yorker. And when he came up off the phone and said it was the Jets, his dad's like, "Whoa!" And then they just like started the JET chant. It was awesome.
That's gotta be such a cool moment.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So they're on my list.
Ravens.
I was about to say we'll get into the Ravens, but they are in a league of their own, top tier every year. We'll take a look at their draft class. Just again, best player available. So Kyle Hamilton at 14, he was going top 5 in mock drafts. Tyler Lindenbaum was number rated center. They get him. David Ajabo would have been a first round pick without the injury. Travis Jones, they get in the 3rd round. He would have been. He was supposed to go in the 2nd round, early 2nd. They get him at pick 76. Like all these guys.
The tackle from Minnesota is just a mammoth of a man.
Yep, Charlie Kolar, like they got a good tight end. Tyler Batty, like the running back from Missouri in round 6, I think that's a phenomenal get. Like
Huge.
that kid, people rave about him as a running back. That's just like every pick they get, they just don't miss. They just let the board follow them. And like, all right, who's the best one up there?
Then they took like how they got Kohler and the tight end from Coastal Carolina, who people love.
To go with Mark Andrews. And it's like, yeah, that's how you run your offense. That's how you fit it around Lamar. It's like everything they do is just smart. They never panic. Like the Eagles jumped them for Jordan Davis. They didn't panic. They're like, all right, who's left? Kyle Hamilton on the board? Fine. Yep, take him.
Yep.
You're sitting there at 45. And you're like, all right, the risk is not the same as taking him in the 1st round. We'll take Ajabo because he would have been a 1st round pick. It's like everything they do it makes sense.
Yep. I love it. Speaking of making sense, I was listening to the Bills GM. He was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and they were talking about the process of guys having their 30 visits and everything. Mm-hmm. And he said that they literally talk to everyone that the player interacts with, from the driver to like was he on the phone the whole time? Did he ask questions? Was he interactive? To the cafeteria staff? Everyone. And if there's like people that were like, yeah, this dude's not going to fit in the building, like they don't draft them.
I love their pick, Kyrie.
Oh, did you see him with his notes?
Yes, I love that. He will succeed. I don't even need to see the tape, even though I've seen the tape and I also like that, but also that. Also, them getting the punt god makes so much sense, right? In Buffalo with a team that's uber aggressive, like if they're at their own 45, they're probably going to go for it because you have Josh freaking Allen and a great offense. So, but if you're at your 20, you're just going to flip the field. It's just like, it's awesome. It's just awesome. Like it made so much sense for them to get the punt god, Matt Araiza. So they think he struggles with like touch. If you're in Buffalo, you're going to need to kick through the wind and just kick it 60, kick it 70. And that kid can do it.
He has such that Buffalo mentality. Because you ever notice him? Like he wants his punt net average to be so high that he is sprinting down the field to tackle dudes if he has to.
Yeah, he's just launching it and just being like, all right, I'm averaging 70 on a punt, which is insane. So like that made so much sense for them to get him. Any other teams that come to mind?
I really liked the Chiefs did as well. I feel like they had a great draft. There was a lot. I mean, the Giants, I think we could say, I said they had a good first half of their draft. I think, getting Kayvon and Evan Neal is scary to me. I don't like either of them being on but then, they reached, I felt like for the one, I forget his name, the receiver they drafted, but he's like a Kadarius Toney kind of double. So that kind of shows you that they're definitely getting rid of him. So, the rest of Commanders, and they got John Dotson, which don't love having him in the division, but I don't think he's that much of a game changer.
Lions. I like the Lions.
Oh yeah, Lions had a very good draft. Very good draft.
I really liked what the Lions did. Getting Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams. Vince, do we have any other graphics you want to pull up of teams? Anybody got back there that we think is any good? And we got Chiefs. Yeah. So I don't like Trent McDuffie based off the fact that he went to a Pac-12 school. Everything else, I can appreciate what they did.
Yes.
And like Karlaftis, when we were doing mock drafts, kept going like 11 to 14, and they get him at 29. So it's like Just
Of
making
course.
the common sense plays. Yeah, it just makes sense. So
Of course.
they were. I thought they did a great job.
They
And also
did.
Sky Moore, who Jeff Kavanaugh loves.
I love
Now
Sky Moore.
you give him Mahomes, and it's like, all right, I just like him and Pickens. I'm like, I just know that this is going to work based on where they ended up.
Yes. Pickens and Pickett, baby.
Pickens and Pickett.
That was just also. I'll end my draft talk on this before we go to the how the quarterbacks just fell this year, and just the lack of it was amazing to me that teams actually were just like, yeah, these guys aren't that good.
Yes.
And they sat and they waited, because normally teams are like, well, we need a quarterback, and they're just jumpy over it. And this year they're like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. And it was every team that you thought might get a quarterback ended up with a quarterback. And instead of doing it early, they're like, all right, we know who wants a quarterback. We're not going to reach. Like, we're not going to waste our time. And everybody got their guy.
Actually, the one pick I didn't love was Sam Howell going to Washington, because I do like him, and they got phenomenal value on him, I believe.
Yeah, he was projected being the number 1 overall pick.
And he went
in the
199.
6th round.
Yeah.
It's unreal. I think Desmond Ridder will be the starter in Atlanta by the end of the season.
He looks like maybe it's just because he wore red and black in college, but he looks like a Falcons quarterback.
He does. He really does. I think he'll actually do well down there, as well as you can do for that cursed
Drake
franchise.
London too.
No.
He's gonna be good.
No, he's not.
He's gonna be good.
I don't think so. But yeah,
I said he was gonna be 1 or 2 taken off the board.
Yeah, and he was 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy. But yeah, the quarterbacks falling. I think that was just smart strategy. Like, there were only certain teams that were going to take quarterbacks this year. Everybody knows. Again, don't take the short-term view. I thought a lot of teams were just smart. The league's getting smarter. Maybe it's just like technology and access to social media and stuff like that. I think there was a lot smarter draft strategies this year, and one of them was not panicking on quarterbacks, knowing what's coming, not taking the short-term view, and knowing what's coming the long-term next year.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, awesome draft.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And this is one of the first times I've left the draft and been like, okay, I have a belief system in my front office and my team. So I'm
as you should. As you should. All right, let's get into this TikTok and we can get out of here. Vince, are you joining us on this, or is it just the two of us?
I believe he is. Yes, he's got his Billie Eilish hat on, so that lets me know.
I'm in uniform.
She's at Coachella. You didn't want to go to that one?
Couldn't make it out this week.
You can sell a kidney for a ticket?
No, her and I were talking about it. She's like, you know what? Don't worry about coming out here. Like, I'll be there next February 13th. You can come see me then.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the next Super Bowl.
COVID, bro.
Where is the next Super Bowl?
Houston?
I don't know.
No,
somewhere
Vegas.
warm, probably.
Probably Vegas. Oh, I thought about this during the draft. I might have said it during the live stream. I should not be allowed to be drafted and be 21 years old and become a millionaire overnight in Las Vegas.
No.
It would not end well.
No.
It would be terrible.
How about the dude who got pulled off the stage? The old guy?
He was a coach in Goat House in Blue Mountain State. I didn't even notice. I was like, this guy's voice is familiar. And he said he was a player. He was the coach of Blue Mountain State.
Ed Marinara.
Oh, my God. All-time
And that
great.
girl walked down and just pointed, was like, please just read the card.
Yeah, she was like, read the card. Oh, man. That was awesome. What a great moment. But him being the coach of the Blue Mountain State fighting goats.
So
oh, what a great show.
So good.
Spike TV, RIP in peace. That was the best.
All right, what
All
are we
right.
talking?
TikTok today, we're continuing with the draft. We're going to do our top 3 steals of the 2022 NFL draft.
Wonder what
Got the triangle back, boys. You guys ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. At 3, I got Dameon Pierce for the Texans, 4th round, pick 107. I honestly think he can be one of the best running backs out of this draft class, if not the best. I think he's going to be a 3-down back in the league. I love the way that this kid runs. He runs with some fire. And I think for a team like the Texans, where you can't go wrong and you need everything, getting a starting caliber running back in the 4th round after what you did early is awesome.
If only you had
3
pick
for me.
101 to go get him.
Yeah.
3 for me, it's Jalen Tolbert, the wide receiver that Dallas took out of South Alabama. Like I said, I think Dallas easily could have taken him at 56. Some people had him ranked as high as 44. They get him at 88 in the 3rd round. He's going to be an immediate impact player. He can stretch the field. He can go across the middle. He's got great hands. He's going to be a huge addition to this team. And to get him at 88 with some of the other receivers that went off the board before him, I think was a complete steal.
At number 3, I have Cole Strange. We did it again. Everyone started making fun of Bill Belichick. We need to stop doing this. Every time people make fun of him, trying to make him look stupid,
Who called it?
he ends up being. Yeah, you did call it. That was incredible. But, congrats to the Patriots. They drafted the best offensive lineman of all time, apparently. And it's pretty much a lock. Anything short than first overall is a steal with this guy, apparently.
Probably. All right, at 2, I have Arnold Ebiketie for the Falcons, 2nd round, pick 38. There was a run on edge rushers early. The Falcons didn't panic, and in the 2nd round, they get their guy. I think he's one of the most pure edge rushers in the draft. He has a clear and defined role. It is on 3rd down, get after the quarterback, which he did very well in his college career, including 9.5 sacks this past season. Vince, what's his stat? There was, 6% where he got there in less than 2 seconds? Yeah,
or something like that.
Sign me up for that on a 2nd round pick. I'll take my chances with that.
I mean, he was high. He was ranked as high as 24 going to the Cowboys.
They got him at 38. That's great value.
2 for me is Kyle Hamilton going to the Baltimore Ravens. He was ranked as high as 3rd going in the draft a couple months ago. And then people are like, well, he didn't test great. He is a phenomenal football player. He's a smart football player. If you watch his tape, he sees the play developing almost before the offense knows what's coming. If you watch his one play against Florida State where he is all the way on the one hash, completely turns his head, sprints all the way to the other hash, picks the ball off. It is one of the most athletic plays I've ever seen by a safety ever. And he's the perfect Baltimore Raven because of course he is. And I think that is, of course they stole him.
Number 2, I have Malik Willis. No one liked this quarterback class. Were any of them 1st round talents? No. Were any of them 2nd round talents? Maybe. Was Malik Willis at least a 3rd round talent for sure? Like, they got good value out of the pick. They didn't waste a 1st round pick on him like a lot of people mocked them to do. They waited. They got him in the 3rd round. Now, apparently, Ryan Tannehill's an asshole, so it's just going to motivate this dude to try harder, and he could probably win the starting spot over that Nissan Altima Ryan Tannehill.
Such a great comparison. Or a Toyota Camry, one of the two.
Yeah.
At 1, I have insert Ravens pick here because you can just choose any single one that you want. Kevin mentioned Kyle Hamilton. They got Tyler Lindenbaum. They got Charlie Kohler. They got a great running back out of Missouri in the 6th round. Every freaking thing they do works. They got the defensive tackle from UConn in the 3rd round. He was projected to go the 2nd round. They go best player available, turn on the tape. If you produce for me, you're on our board. They do everything right draft.
Number 1 for me is the 27th pick overall. The Jacksonville Jaguars come back into the 1st round and take linebacker Devin Lloyd from Utah. He was projected to be the number 1 linebacker off the board. It ends up being Quay Walker. He was mocked as high as 8, 9, 10 at some points in this offseason. He is, I don't even know how to explain it. He is I love watching him play because he can do it all from the linebacker position. And seeing him have to go in that ugly, disgusting Jacksonville uniform hurts my heart. But it is such a smart pick by Trent Baalke, who never does smart picks at all. It's always the flashy guys. I think this was more of a Doug Peterson pick, and I think he's a perfect fit for a guy like Doug Peterson. And I think he's going to bring physicality and leadership to that defense that desperately needs it. And to get him at 27, they were brilliant to come back into the 1st round because he wasn't lasting much longer.
Hope he likes ice cream. Number 1, I have A.J. Brown. Eagles gave up almost no draft capital for him. They used a 1st round pick on a 24-year-old wide receiver that's already proven himself in the NFL. Some teams used actual 1st round. Some teams actually drafted 24-year-olds. So
the Bears drafted a 25-year-old receiver.
Yeah, they're drafting, like you said, there's a lot of like already fathers in this draft because they're old enough to be. There's a lot of old guys in this draft, and the Eagles traded a first-round pick for a 24-year-old A.J. Brown, who's a top 5 wide receiver in the league at worst. He could be top 3 at his best. So A.J. Brown, best pick in the draft for the Eagles.
Love
Boom.
it. TikTok finalized. Vince, thank you for joining us. Great draft season. That was awesome. Next year, it needs to be 7 rounds, 7 days, 1 round a day to keep me occupied for a whole week.
So I have a lot of draft analysis guys locked and loaded that we can bring on for guests that we were going to bring pre-draft, but then we kind of got in a roll with our mock drafts that we didn't really, we wanted to do our own stuff. So
yeah,
we're going to bring on 1 or 2, I think, the next 2 weeks to help us analyze a little bit more. I would like to see what other people think of our drafts.
I love that. I love bouncing the ideas off one another. So that should be fun.
So that's it for us. Thank you for listening and watching Birds vs. Boys. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel. That's really been taking off lately. We're putting out all different types of stuff. We were doing mock drafts, player breakdowns. We're going to continue to do more stuff like that based around the players that the Cowboys and the Eagles picked. We're going to do some breakdowns of those guys. And hell, maybe soon we'll do a 2023 mock draft just to have some fun. But follow us everywhere social, anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're there. Tell your friends, tell your family. This is a football podcast for everyone. We're inclusive. See, we talked about all the draft picks, not just the Cowboys, not just the Eagles. We're football freaks. That's all we are. So, Aidan, good luck with the Sixers. Hopefully, Joel comes back.
Me too. Thankfully, I got the COVID.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones.
Upset alert.
I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.